Welcome to On Point by Target River, the podcast where strategy meets execution with a little fun. I'm your host, Brian, and each episode will break down what actually works in marketing, sales, and growth so you can stay sharp, focused, and always on point. Let's dive in. Have you ever had a DIY project that just went bad and you wished you'd called an expert? Well, I had one of those just a handful of months ago. So I had one of the toilets in the house that was constantly running and just couldn't figure out what was happening to it. So, of course, I went to YouTube, did a little search, and found that there was a seal between the tank and the water source or whatever that needed to be replaced. So I watched the video a couple of times, enlisted one of my sons and said, okay, we just need about a $40 part from Home Depot and we'll replace this thing, no problem, versus calling, ironically, a client of our company. Target River actually has a client here in the state of Utah called Mr. Expert Plumber, and I probably could have called his team and they would have fixed it, but I was trying to do it myself. Everything seemed great. We kind of had the tools. We fixed it, I thought. So I travel a lot. About 2 weeks later, I get a call from my mother, who is living with us at our home here in Utah, that there is water leaking from the master bathroom, which is the toilet I thought I'd fixed, down into the basement below. So this do-it-yourself project turned into a massive project with blowers and fans and repairs and everything. And what went from a $50 project turned into about a $2,000 project because I didn't do it right. Now, I should have learned my lesson because for those of you that know me, I am not the handiest man in the world. I'm great at certain things, pretty good in other things, but when it comes to fixing things and stuff like that, I do not have those skills. My brother, on the other hand, is a civil engineer by trade and is just always the handiest person. I remember years ago when we were little, in our bedroom, we had bunk beds. And this was back, the TV that we got from our parents to put in our room had the old school dials where you would turn the knob to turn the TV on or off and to change the channel and to turn the volume. So there was no remote. You had to literally get up and walk over. And I know for many of you listening to this podcast, you're like, what is Brian talking about? What do you mean no remote? Well, one time I came home from being gone for the weekend, maybe for a camping trip or something, and I looked along the ceiling of our bedroom, and there were all these strings running from the bunk beds up over the ceiling, down across a wall, and over to the TV. And Dirk was so excited to show me, and he's had to have been maybe 7 or 8 years old at this time. He pulled one string, and it went through some eye hooks, and all of a sudden turned the knob and turned the TV on. Then he turned another string, and it started changing the channel as he pulled the string. And see, this was a really cool find because we were always getting in trouble as kids because we would be watching TV too late. And we could hear mom and dad coming from above because our room was in a daylight basement. So we could hear the little creak on the floor as they were coming to our staircase, but then we'd always have to jump out of bed, run and try to get over to the TV before they got to the top of the stairs so they could see that it was turned off. Now we had the solution. 1, we had the remote. 2, we could turn the TV off before mom and dad caught us. So my brother's always been the handy one. And I remember one day I saw on the news that a whale watching boat had crashed into the pier in San Diego. And this is when I lived in San Diego, and my brother does live there. And he worked for the port of San Diego. And I thought to myself, if I was my brother and had the responsibility of figuring out what just happened and how to fix this issue, what would I do? You know what I'd actually do? I would call my brother because he would know exactly what to do, which is what he did. So I think about this, how often in our lives do we try to do things that we just don't have the expertise to do? Maybe we have some basic knowledge that goes to a certain level, but we don't have that thoughtful knowledge and consideration to do whatever it is, whether it's a DIY project at home, maybe it's something that we're doing to support or volunteer in. And it reminds me of a phrase that my dad always used to tell me when it came to serving others. You have your time, you have your talent, or maybe you have your treasure or your money that you can give back to support people. And at different stages in life, maybe you have all three. You have some time to give, maybe you have a talent in that area, and maybe you can also write a check, so to speak. But oftentimes we might not have all three of those, or all we can do is make the donation, which is fantastic. Maybe all we can do is offer some time to volunteer. But many times we may not have the specific skills or abilities for the thing that they need help with. And it got me thinking about marketing with that case when it comes to the right skills and the right knowledge. In our last episode, Brittany and I talked a little bit about AI and how it can help you, but it can also be a curse because we often think that it can do a lot more than it really can at this time, especially with marketing. And we talked about that concept of creating authentic messaging. So as you think about your efforts to tell your story as an organization and you're auditing the different ways that you're going to tell that story, who is in charge of that aspect? So if you decide that social media, posting on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, maybe X, formerly Twitter, who is responsible for that? Is it a person that you gave the job to just simply because of their age? And you're like, oh, they're a certain age, so they must surely know what they're doing on social media. Is it somebody that's tasked with multiple responsibilities? So maybe they know what they're doing, but they're going to be consistently inconsistent because they don't have the time to regularly post. What about your emails? If you're telling stories through email, who's crafting those messages? Who's designing them? Who's scheduling them? Who's thinking about what time of the day of the week should that email go out? Who's thinking about the right subject line that should be in there so that you can increase the likelihood that the recipient's going to open it up? There's so many different things that come into play when it comes to marketing that rarely is there a single person that has the expertise to deliver on all of those. I've been in marketing for over 30 years now, and I have not met that superhero yet. There's a lot of people that I've met that are highly skilled, but not a single person that's an expert in all facets of marketing. So when you're thinking about your own team and the work maybe that you do internally, or when you're interviewing agencies, you want to ask those hard questions. If I give you the keys to be able to do this, if I give you access to be able to support our organic or SEO efforts for our website, who's the tactician? Who's the specialist that's going to do that? What is their background? What is the success rate like that they've had in growing the organic exposure and presence for businesses? Oftentimes we just assume, oh, it's an agency, they've been around a while, so they must be good at this. Maybe the agency's been around, but the person that's handling your work, your efforts, or your account is a junior person or a fresher or somebody that doesn't have the competency and experience yet. Now, I do want to qualify this and not just say time in a career equates expertise. I've met many people in this industry that have been at it for 15, 20, 25 years and still have the level of knowledge and experience of an entry-level person. So don't judge a book by its cover and necessarily say, oh, they've had 12 or 15 years doing graphic design or whatever the role is. It's obviously the expertise and the results also. But when you think about that, we've got to understand that there's so many different things that can occur and can happen, and we need to have the right experts. So to personalize it and bring it home for Target River, we hire specialists. So we have paid ad specialists who are experts on digital ad platforms. We have media buyers who are experts in negotiating out-of-home, television, radio, and other forms of broad-reaching marketing. We have graphic designers We have copywriters who write the copy that gets put into the design. We have those same copywriters that write the scripts that then get produced in videos from our video editors. We have SEO specialists. We have email specialists. We've got specialists who know the organic side of posting on social media versus the paid advertising side. So again, when we are talking to clients and speaking on these different subjects or these different matters, we're speaking through a particular specific level of expertise, okay? And so not everybody is going to be an expert in all areas, as I mentioned, and not every agency is going to have expertise in all areas. Some do, but there's many that don't. And so when you're evaluating your relationships and who you should work with or who you should hire, make sure you're focused on what they specifically can do, but it's also important to understand what they cannot do. Because if you misfire there, then you're going to be off point, maybe on your marketing message, maybe on the tactics that you use, or maybe even the audiences that you reach. They could make the most amazing video for you, for example, but if it's not written to the right audience with the right tone, the right message, the right graphics, and it's not reaching them the right way, it could win an award for creativity, but completely fall flat when it comes to delivering results. So the tip or the reminder for today is watch. It is important to watch your costs, but be mindful of that DIY approach and how it can misfire. And you can turn that $50 plumbing job on a toilet to a $2,000 job because you didn't bring in the right experts. Thanks for listening to On Point by Target River. If you're ready to grow your organization with real strategy that generates meaningful results, visit targetriver.com and connect with our team today. Stay focused, stay winning, and stay on point. We'll see you next time.